Just to let you know, guys, this video contains flashing lights, so if you're sensitive to flashing lights, please don't watch it. I don't want to be hurting anybody. Hi, I'm Wendy and welcome to my channel. Happy Halloween. Today I want to show you the process of me trying to make a light box. Now, I did have trouble with this. I got the idea from Louise Singleton Creations. I'll put her link up here if I can. If not, it'll be in the description because I still haven't worked out how to do that. Never mind, we're learning. So yeah, I'm trying to make a light box that is kind of what Louise did with her pigment boxes, but putting a light in it with something behind it. And I've got some film that we have on our windows so that people can't see in, but we can see out. And I've got scraps left, but I should be able to get a couple of pieces out of them to make a couple of light boxes. Now, I don't know how this is going to go because it's not resin related, it's craft related. Although they are resin embellishments, which I've made, and those will be up on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Links, right. So if you haven't been here before, thanks for joining me. If you can subscribe, I would be very grateful, and push that bell so you know when I upload. I upload most Tuesdays, sometimes other times as well, but mostly on Tuesday evenings. So yeah, come back and see what I'm up to. It's mostly resin, but there are other crafts as well, as we're finding out with the light boxes. Anyway, I'll come back at the end and I'll try and do a talk through with this so you can actually see what I'm up to, because it's not very clear. I've looked at some of the footage of me actually making this, and it's a bit iffy. So I will talk over it, and hopefully you'll understand how potentially this is a great idea. But you know, this is the first time I've done it, so you'll see. Anyway, I'll come back at the end with the items, and hopefully we'll get some good shots of the item working as well. Let's have a look, shall we? Okay, so I've got a photo frame which I'm going to be using as the external frame for the box, and I'm trying to bend back the clips so that I can get the glass and everything out of it. At this point the camera angle is not good. I do change the camera angle so we can see a bit better, but for some reason I didn't here. Typical. So taking the back off, taking the white bits of papers and the frame off. And there's the glass. Putting everything to one side to use it later. This is the film that I used on our windows. It's very tatty. I should have bought a new bit really, but it's a tenner a roll, and I couldn't see the point just for using it for 2 light boxes. So I'm using this tattoo. It doesn't really matter. They're Halloween boxes anyway, so they don't have to be pristine. So I'm just marking out where the glass is underneath to cut it. I'll cut it off so it's kind of the right size, but I'm going to trim it once it's actually on there. It's not sticky. This film is not sticky. It is like a suction film. So you have to get the surface of the window really, really wet, and to do that you use soapy water. The soapier the better really, because you need to be able to slide it around and get it in the right place. So I'm wetting the glass with this soapy water. The hardest bit with this is to try and separate the film with the shiny surface that we're going to put onto the mirror, the glass. It's best to do it with a needle, I found. This is where the photography gets a little iffy because all you can see is a reflection, which is quite annoying. So then I'm going to get a flat surface to squeeze out all the air and the soapy water from underneath. Now because the soapy water's under there, it's easy to get rid of the air, and the soapier the better, like I said. If you're putting this on your windows, it can be quite tricky, but once you've done it a few times, you get the hang of it. And it's brilliant stuff if you don't like net curtains. Takes a little while to get rid of all the bubbles, and I've got something caught underneath, a bit of fluff or dust or something. You can just peel it up because it's not sticky, it's only being held down with suction basically. But it will stay there once it's on. Once it's dried out, it will stay there definitely. Again, another little bit of grit underneath between the plastic and the glass. I hope this imagery of the camera and everything isn't making you feel sick. I know some people do get motion sickness, and I'm worried about the flashing lights and the motion sickness in this video all in one. Just showing you there how flat it is. It is quite wet, and it does dry out obviously, but I'm going to trim it up in a moment. And to do that, all you've got to do is to get a standing knife blade out and turn it upside down. There are some creases in this plastic, but they do come out once it's all dried out and everything. You can't see them. Managed to remember my chopping board to slice this on. The amount of times I forget. It's very easy to cut though. Just running the knife down the side of the glass. Hardly any pressure needed as long as the knife is sharp. This is the main point of this light box, is to have a mirrored surface, so that when you look at it, you look as if you're looking in a mirror, but when the lights go on behind, that's when the magic happens. Just squeezing out a lot of the excess water. Okay, so I've put the mirror glass in the frame, and I put the clips back down, and it's now upside down, ready for me to start building the framework around the outside. Now, like I said, this is a Louise Singleton Creations idea. I'm not claiming that this is my idea. She built her little cabinets for holding her mica powders in, and I have taken it just that one step further to do a Halloween light box. You should go check her out. She's very good. Very talented lady. Now here I'm just measuring up to make sure I'm going to cut the pieces of the board. It's this 5mm board. It's like a sponge board. I don't know the name of it. It's like a 5mm board, spongy centre. And I'm measuring and measuring and measuring to make sure I get it right. And I still get it wrong. Measuring again. Measure twice, cut once. That's the saying. This looks like a little bit of a faff, but once I get into the swing of it, I know what I'm doing. It's just because I've never done it before, so it's a little bit of a new thing for me. But I got there in the end. I mean, it didn't take much. It was just a little bit of working out how I was going to do it and what I was going to cut and where. Making sure the measurements. I'll say I've got it wrong. It was only one piece that needed cutting shorter. That was all, and it just cut it a bit shorter and everything fitted fine. Now, I didn't realise how much I had to push through this foam board when I first started cutting it. I didn't go through it far enough. And I should have had my chopping board underneath me. There we go. Now I can push harder and not worry about it. So that's the right width. And I need 2. Now I need all of the 4 pieces around the outside to be the same depth. So I chose 4 centimetres, I think it was, and just decided to do everything at that depth. It gives me quite a big, deep box. I did find it easier to put the blades in the end before I lined up with the line and then cut along. Trying to put the blade in when you're pushing down on your straight edge is a little bit tricky. So if you put the blade in first exactly on the line, you know you're on the line, and you can line up your straight edge or ruler, whatever it is you're using, with the blade. It does work out a lot easier. Except when it accidentally moves. But I've got the pressure right cutting now, straight through. So there are the 2 bits on each end. Now we just need to do the sides. Repeating the process for the longer sides. I couldn't make up my mind whether I was just going to go for it and cut it without making the line, but I thought no, I need to draw the line so I know if I've gone wrong. So I drew the line anyway. And I wanted to make sure it was right as well, so I was measuring to make sure that I haven't gone off at an angle. So that's the 2 lengths done. Now they should all be the same size, but as you can see, the clips around the mirror, i.e. glass, are sticking out, so I'm going to have to do something because the bits of card won't sit down. Now I'm fitting it all together, just make sure it's right. And this is when I find out that the top one, because the sides are in the way, needs to be a bit shorter. So quick, take off another 5mm. I took off 5mm, but obviously there's two sides, so it should have been 10mm. And they're in place. But we're going to have to do something about those little clips. So I came up with a cunning plan. Just making sure that piece is in the right place before I take a cut out of it to sit over the clips. So I've drawn where the clips are, and I'm just going to cut a little notch out of the foam so that it sits nicely over the clips. And all the clips are in a different place, so I can't do them all the same. Each side has to be done separately. Notches out, do they fit? Lovely jubbly. 3 more to do. So the 4 sides are in their place. I've taped them up to keep them in. On to the next part. Now this says quite clearly on their horror sticker, doesn't it? Gruesome horror sticker. From B&M, £1. I couldn't resist it. I thought that would go great in this. It's not a sticker. It's a glass sticker, which means there's no glue on it whatsoever. So I had to use glue for this. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It stayed where it was put. So I'm just offering up the back to see what sort of size. I'm going to lose quite a lot of that picture, but I only really want the face anyway. So I'm going to use the back as a template on my board so that I can cut it to the right size. Of course now I know that it wasn't the right size, it was too big because it's got to go inside the frame and not on the back of the frame. But I didn't think of that at the time. It doesn't really matter because I just trimmed it up. So I'm just going to draw around it to give myself a nice clean edge to cut along. There we go. Again, I'm going to offer it up to see how much I can actually gain from this. I I did think about doing it horizontal, but I think a portrait, because it's a face, it needs to be portrait. And this is when I found out it wasn't actually a sticker. So we get the glue out. Don't need the chopping board. Good old Pritt stick. I did get quite a lot of bubbles under here, so I decided to use the same plastic piece as I used to put the film on the windows to get the bubbles out. That Pritt stick, didn't realise it was going to dry so fast, mind you. Should have used the plastic piece to start with. Look how quick that's drying. But it worked. I'm just going to turn it over and trim around the edges. Oh, where's my cutting board? Forgot it again. So many cuts on that surface. Plastic was easy to cut, to be honest. It was as easy as the film on the glass itself. Very simple to cut. And as long as you've got a sharp knife and you mind your fingers. So that's not bad at all. Nice. It's all ripply at the moment, but the glue's still wet and it's going to be behind the glass, so you're not going to see that. Now I've got to figure out a way to stand it up, so I come up with another cunning plan of an adjacent piece of foam with a notch cut out of it. Again, which actually worked really well. And I was going to do this by hand, by eye, but I thought no, I've got to measure it. Otherwise the gap's going to be too big and it's not going to be any good, because it'll just wobble. So I measured it to 5mm and I cut to 5mm. Now you don't actually go right the way through this. You leave a piece in the middle. You'll see why in a moment. There's a method to my madness. So now I need to cut a notch out of the skeleton, should we call him? So that he will sit on the stand. So I'm just going to mark where the notch needs to be. Cut the notch out, and that should sit over the top of the stand. In theory. Yay, it worked. Always glad when a plan comes together. These are the lights. They're remote control and they were massive. They were so long. I took about half an hour tying them all up to themselves so that they were a more manageable length. Now I'm just going to cut a corner out because I figured that the light remote control on the lead needs to actually go out behind the picture and out of the frame itself. So the notch needs to be there so that the wire can go out the back. Got my glue gun ready. This is a fun part, gluing it all together. Just twisting 2 bits of the wire together there so that it can be glued easier. It's quite a flexible wire. You can bend it pretty much where you want it to go. And just as I'm about to use the glue gun, the glue runs out. And it's a frantic rush to try and find another glue stick. And the only one I could find was silver glitter. But it didn't really matter, it's not going to see it. Silver glitter glue. Takes a little while to go hard, but not that long. And I'm gluing it right the way around. It's a little bit tedious. Keep waiting for it to go hard. So I spare you that. There you go. And that's showing you that the lights are working with the remote control. Quite a lot of functions on that remote control as well. Now, we've got me lights in and we need to cut the notch out of the box for the lead so that the remote control can go on the outside of the box, because if it's inside the box you won't be able to use it. So again, another little notch out of the corner. Now, I don't want it to keep flapping around, so I'm going to have to secure it in there somehow. So I figured that I'd stick the bottom and then just put a bit of tape on the sides to hold it in place. Using good old Yoo-hoo. Good glue, but it does smell. Nothing wrong with the fingers to push the glue around. I'm going to put him in place. Now, I didn't want him too close to the front because you would be able to see it through the mirror. So he's quite near the back, which is ideal really. This is when I decided that perhaps I needed a bit of tape as well on the sides. So there's the tape. Now I'm just going to put the back on. I have painted it in black, inside and out, just to make sure it's giving a good light protection. Don't want the light going in there. And I was going to just stick it on with tape. And I realised that the little bit of tape inside was actually stuck to the inside, and so I had to take that tape off again. Always something, isn't there? Let's try again. I'll figure out what it is now. The little bit of tape that's holding the picture got stuck to the inside. That's it. Out of the way. Now we can tape it properly. I'm going to be painting all of this tape black, so you won't see it. I should have got black tape really, but I couldn't find any at the time, so I had to go with grey. And it does the job. Now the remote control is going to need to be fastened. Because you open it to get the batteries in and out, it needs to be glued on in a position where you can still open the hinges. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So it's not at the bottom, otherwise you wouldn't be able to open it. You can see that I can still open it. to get batteries in and out. Push the wire back in to make it all nice and neat. Okay, so I don't know whether you understood anything of that. It was tricky to film it because it's got a mirrored surface. So the minute I pick that up, all you can see is a mirror, and I'm so sorry. But the concept is there. It's got a remote control light, and in the dark you can see what's inside it. Let me put it on. So I don't know whether you'll be able to see that because you're just seeing the reflection. It's so tricky to film this. It really is tricky. Can you see that? Maybe not. But if you was to look in here, you'd think you was looking in a mirror, because it is a mirror until the lights go on. Ah! This one particularly is a witch. And it is faint, and maybe the lights needed to be brighter, which would have made the image brighter. I give you that. Learning curve. The other one is all finished like this. Oh, I wish it wasn't so shiny. They stand up. You can have them hanging on the wall because of the way they're made. And like I said, you've got the remote that I've stuck on the side. I've embellished them with little, I don't even know you can see that, with little bits on the corners, little resin pieces I've made from Instagram. And again, I'll try to show you. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Maybe not. You know, it kind of feels as if this is a bit pointless, but they are there and they do work. And in the dark, they are amazing. I'm going to try to get some footage in the dark and maybe get someone to look in to see what they can see. Because the idea is there. And maybe it's a little bit of fail, but, you know, learning curve. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will put up some more footage, hopefully, of them working in the dark. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.